Hey, it's the Empire. Don't forget to hit the like button, the subscribe button, and the bell icon for more videos. We taking over. Let's go, champ. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button right now. Let's go.
Hey, it's the Empire, Geoboxing Empire, Boxing Boxing. Man, my boy Andy Ruiz, man, former IBF, WBO, WBA Unified Mexican World Champion, man. The guy who stopped and beat by KO Anthony Joshua when he made his American debut in New York, man. My God. I mean, the guy, he's back at it again training, and we all know he let his last trainer go because of the rematch with Anthony Joshua. Andy Ruiz is looking really slow. He gained a massive amount of weight, and the thing is, his trainer didn't train the way he should have. He could have been a better fighter, but, his trainer didn't do as well as he could have. And that being said, man, he dropped his trainer, and now he's training with my boy CANELO ALVAREZ. Now you guys see the video in the description, man. You guys see the title, man. Andy Ruiz, man. It shows a montage of the guy working out. It shows him getting in shape, and it shows him looking good, man. It shows him looking good in the ring. Now that being said, man, there's been a lot of hearsay about Andy Ruiz's next fight, man, and it's looking like they're trying to make a showdown with Luis King Kong Ortiz and Andy Ruiz, man. Luis Ortiz fought an opponent not too long ago. It was Flores, and I mean, it was controversial the way it was stopped, but I mean, let's be honest, Flores had no chance in that fight, and he was most likely getting stopped anyway. All Latino showdown versus a Cuban and a Mexican fighter, that would definitely elevate Andy Ruiz and Luis Ortiz, whoever will win, or they both could win if it's a competitive fight, and that would definitely put him up to a title shot, because Andy Ruiz, especially in the WBC, we all know the WBC is ran by Suleiman, and he's a Mexican native, so he's definitely going to elevate Andy Ruiz. Furthermore, Andy Ruiz used to be a former unified heavyweight champion, so he does deserve to be at the top of the echelon if he can get past the Luis King Kong Ortiz, man. And I've seen Andy Ruiz drop extreme amount of weight extremely quickly, and this is good. I think this lockdown is good for Andy Ruiz. There's nothing to do. Restaurants are closed. You can't go eating, and this is the perfect time for Andy Ruiz to really be on a stringent diet. There's no reason why you got M's in the account and you can't order a meal plan. Ordinary people can order meal plans online. There's a lot of services that offer it to make Andy Ruiz eat a certain amount of calories a day and stick to that. The guy, he's already extremely quick, and only thing's missing for him is really his movement as far as getting to the fighter, because while Andy Ruiz is really quick in the Anthony Joshua fight the first time, the second time Anthony Joshua just literally moved around the ring. AJ was dancing on Andy Ruiz, man. He was just dancing on him. He was dancing around the ring, and Andy Ruiz couldn't catch up to the kid. Andy Ruiz needs to work on his foot movement to get there faster. Dropping weight would definitely make it easier. But yeah, man, I've seen him doing things like doing lift pull-ups, and Andy Ruiz weighs a lot. Andy Ruiz is really heavy, so when you're doing pull-ups and you're 300 plus pounds, or high 200s, that's a lot of strength you're building. Andy Ruiz is definitely building his core strength, and he's going to be a lot better fighter. Me personally, I would love to see Luis Ortiz fight next, but I would love to see him get wet first, just to have him come back. Maybe fight anyone. It doesn't really matter, just to see him back again. People were really excited about the Luis King Kong Ortiz fight. It was wild because when that fight happened, Luis Ortiz, man, I mean, they sort of announced it like a week or two before the fight, and he just came out of nowhere. That's what they need to do with Andy Ruiz, man. He just needs to get a fight out of nowhere, and they don't really need to promote it. They just need to get this guy in the ring again to get his feet wet, to show people he's back. It's crazy because Andy Ruiz, man, when he beat Anthony Joshua, sometimes in boxing, once you accomplish being a champion, you really don't need the titles anymore. Ask CANELO ALVAREZ. That's why he can do things like get the franchise title and still be seen as a top pound for pound fighter. Andy Ruiz, with his fan base, with the Mexican fan base, they're one of the biggest fan bases in the world, and because boxing's huge in their culture. Andy Ruiz, I mean, can he be a big name without the belts, and just fight whoever he needs to fight and still be a star? I think so, man. Andy Ruiz has a lot of potential in him. He just needs to, keep winning, keep getting his W's. One thing you don't want to do in boxing is stay idle and wait for big fights. Sometimes you just want to stay active. And I think Andy Ruiz is at this point of his career where he already has the accolades. He doesn't really need to fight the best of the best off the jump all the time. He can just fight whoever he needs to fight, just stay active. People like activity. Look at Deontay Wilder. I mean, the guy was like 43-0 at one point. But the reason why he was so exciting is because he was so active. He was so active. He was fighting everyone, fighting 3 times a year. I mean, people love that, and that's why he has so many wins. Andy Ruiz needs to get to that point where he needs to be fighting as many times as Deontay Wilder. Not only that, it keeps you in shape as well because you're always in a training camp. You're always training. You always, what they say, man, stay ready so you don't gotta get ready. So Andy Ruiz, in my opinion, at this point in his career, he needs to stay active. I want to see this guy in the ring 3-4 times a year, fighting anyone. I don't care if it's a bum or not. Just fight somebody. You don't want a fighter like a talent like Andy Ruiz to stay idle. He already had a point in his career when he was with Bob Arum, and he was basically shelved after the loss with Joseph Parker. And he didn't fight too much under Bob Arum. With the PBC, their roster is so massive, so wide. It's like an ocean. You can fight anyone. And yeah, Andy Ruiz needs to stay active, man. And he needs to really solidify that Mexican fan base, by fighting in Mexico. That's one thing he could do too as well. Andy Ruiz, he already became a champion. We already know he can do it. Right now in his career, he needs to become more of a brand than a fighter. We already know he can fight, but he needs to become bigger than boxing. And the only way you can do that is, by fighting in your home country and just by being in the culture. He's already taken steps to train with someone like a Canelo Alvarez, who's already sort of bigger than boxing. If you actually look at Canelo, you see him in Corona commercials. You just see him in all kind of commercials. I've seen him with Rocky one time. You're probably gonna see this guy on TV every now and then. I mean, that's where Andy Ruiz needs to be at in his career. But he needs to look apart too. He needs to look the part. So we're gonna see how this whole thing plays out with Andy Ruiz, man. Like I said, I expect that Luis Ortiz to happen within a couple fights. That is an extremely massive fight. That Flores fight with Luis Ortiz, I mean, that was a good win for Ortiz, but I want to see, a little bit more. When you get a wash like that with Luis Ortiz walking through Flores, you want to see more. And that's good, man. I mean, no one's going to criticize Luis Ortiz for, that guy seemingly looking like he was taking a dive. People want to see more of him. And that's good, man. That's what boxing's all about. Let me know how you guys feel about it, though, man. Like, comment, subscribe. This is the Empire. Geoboxing Empire. Peace.